Chris,
Sup?
you famously long said that the hardest thing to do in sports is hit a 100-mile-per-hour fastball.
Well, I think that's just what, like, if you say to people, what's the hardest thing in sports? Isn't that what people say? Am I looking at this through a baseball prism? I think that's what people have said in the past.
Yeah, usually, yeah.
Any other suggestions of what's the hardest thing?
Catching across the middle?
That's a great one. Because I saw something in sports recently that it's like, that seems to me like the hardest thing.
Harder than either of those two things.
Right. I think in hockey, these maniacs that stand in front of the net and then some guy slap shots it, the deflection goal, the skill at which these guys see these pucks flying at them and they just put their stick at an angle where the puck goes into the goal but just it beats the goal. It's when they do it perfectly, you look at it and you're like, how could he? It's like trying to hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball when there's 7 people in front of you. It's insanely difficult.
Insane.
So you mean just hitting a foul ball, letting the ball hit your bat,
well,
and just going whatever direction.
Or bunting. Jeremy,
it's a bunt.
But they're also through. But it's like as if
it's a bunch of people in the way.
If there was baseball pitches through 7 people in the way, that's like you don't think that's difficult. What I'm talking about here?
I'm just downplaying it.
I think one of the most
Baseball guy.
exciting things in hockey, akin to that, is when it deflects off of a skate and you're watching the replay and you're like, oh, was it a skate? Was it a stick? Was it a skate? Was it a stick?
That's I mean, in hockey, the slow motion of a goal is always wild because you always learn it just hit off some random guy's shin.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Is it not harder to be the goalkeeper who reacts and stops that deflection than it is to actually do the deflection?
But I think a lot of times it's so quick that the goalie's just kind of like moving his body and he gets lucky. Like I think a lot of times that stuff is random in hockey.
Now, those are positional saves. He's got to be in the right position for that. Like it is difficult to stop a puck that's deflected, so he's got to be right there in position.
What are some other things though? Like I like football across the middle. Like we should probably in every sport like figure out what's the hardest
I couldn't
thing.
drive a Formula 1 car.
Yeah. What's the hardest part
Can't
of
drive
that?
stick or what?
Like this, if you had to like one thing in that.
You're going so fast around a corner and you have to like keep your steering wheel from spinning out or else you die pretty much.
That's up there. Just being an F1 driver's got. Like, I'm with her. That's got to be up there.
I couldn't drive that fast without probably passing out. You also have to like learn how to breathe while you're driving.
NASCAR's different.
I
right?
would hold my breath and just pass out.
Just making left turns.
But the thing about racing is like once you know how to race and you're at that level, it's kind of somewhat simple, right? If you can play hockey, but hold on, listen to me. So you can play hockey and never be that person that deflects the goals in. So like you can be at that level, but not the person that deflects it in. Like if you're an F1 driver, like you're kind of doing the things that everybody else is doing.
Accidentally deflect a puck in though, if you're not that good of a hockey player, if you're in the right place at the right time.
I'm actually curious in this hockey, is it skill or are they just kind of trying to deflect it and they get lucky?
That's what I was trying to imply.
Hand-eye coordination.
I think
just like swinging a ball.
Make contact.
Sometimes it's skill. I think sometimes it's luck though. A deflection can be purely you were at the right place, but I think there are hockey players with tremendous skill that know where to place themselves, so they get those deflections.
But here's the thing. You can be a pretty good hockey player and not be able to do that. Exactly. Can you be a good baseball player and never be able to hit a 100-mile-per-hour fastball? Can you be
John
like,
Lester.
I always strike out on these?
Not really. I feel like if you're a major league hitter, you can hit a fastball.
You have to hit.
Nah, you could be a pretty good major league baseball hitter, but not be able to hit a breaking ball.
Right.
No, but a fastball, like a 100-mile-per-hour fastball.
But that's when you're expecting a fastball. Like
So wait.
if you know a curveball's coming, I can hit it. It's when I think a fastball's coming and I see a curveball that's hard.
In this scenario, when we're talking about like the hardest thing to do in sports, are we an athlete playing that sport at an elite level, or are we Chris Cote?
No, we're just like we're them.
Yeah,
But it's just like,
you're an athlete. You are already a baseball player.
Okay.
Could I be a major league baseball player if I had like a rocket for an arm and I could like cover ground and I could do all these things and I'm smart and I steal bases and I do all this stuff and if you throw me a breaking ball or a 99-mile-per-hour fastball, I'm taking this thing yard. But 100, you got me.
You rarely see the 4-tool player where the one tool they're missing is hitting. Like that's always kind of one.
No, fifth tool.
You're mistaking me. I'm saying I'm a great hitter, just not when you throw that kind of pitch. That one pitch.
I've never seen a hitter that is great at all the off-speed pitches and can hit a fastball.
It's different with a fastball. The easy argument on the other side of it would be Giancarlo Stanton won an MVP, and every Marlins fan is like, oh, that guy can't hit a slider low and away. Like, he just can't do it.
Sometimes he can't hit fastballs right down the middle, too, because he's guessing.
No, that's the thing
I'm
in
telling
baseball
you,
now.
Stanton
That's the
guesses.
difference. In baseball now, and where we're talking about like puck deflections and kind of just trying to make it happen, with how hard all these guys are throwing, because 100-mile-an-hour fastball was an example of something that was crazy
and now
10, 15 years ago. Every single pitcher in baseball, it feels like, throws 100. So every hitter can hit 100. It's just whether or not they're guessing before the pitch and deciding to hit it.
And not only with the deflections, what you're trying to do, you're also trying to screen the goaltender, and you're fighting with the defenseman in front of the net who's trying to lift your stick as you're trying to deflect the puck. So it's even harder.
What's the hardest thing in basketball?
Scoring against the Miami Heat in crunch time.
Oh my God.
Calling a timeout in the third quarter if you're Joe Mazzulla.
Trying to think of like
Shooting a shot if you're Jason Tatum.
Getting a shot up if you're Jason
over
Tatum.
Anthony Davis.
I probably couldn't dunk.
What Jokic did.
see-
that fadeaway three over Anthony Davis.
But see, here's the thing, Jess. You could be an NBA player and not dunk. Like you could be a great NBA player
now
and
I'm
not dunk.
doing the scenario where I'm Chris Cote. I'm not an elite basketball player anymore.
The hardest thing to do is your team is down 3 points. It's 2 seconds to go in the game. You hurl a three-pointer up, but you get fouled. Now make all 3 of those free throws with
Clutch
that
time
naked
free
man
throws.
doing the hula hoop behind the goal.
But like skill-wise, probably one of the easiest shots, right? A free throw. You don't have a defender in front of
But
you.
it's the mental
You have
pressure.
time, but mental pressure. Now we're talking about an entirely different scenario.
Yeah,
Now we're
new
talking
game.
about like, you know,
Nick
hockey,
Anderson.
slap shots. Wow.
Yeah, see, I'm
Well said to me.
No, I got it. I got you. Don't worry. I'll not save you.
I'll go to the penalty box.
No,
No.
we don't.
stay
We
here,
don't
stay
do
here.
that around here. It's
Aw.
a new, kinder, gentler Dan Le Batard show without Dan.
With
Le
Amin
Batard.
Al-Hassan.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Spoke
Oh,
too
no.
soon.
No.
Sit 2 minutes in the penalty.
Dan, come on.
Oh,
Unfair.
The big guy's back.
But before I go, what do you think is the hardest thing in all of sports, Dan Le Batard?
Not you. I wasn't sending you away. I was sending Amin away.
I
but
was
Old
hoping-
man, Amin.
no.
Oh, he turned his flashlight on. Oh my God.
Old man. Get him out of here.
That's so
It's
embarrassing.
done.
Look at
It's
that
still
old guy.
on.
I did that the other day in the
Get an
grocery
Android.
store. In the grocery store, I pulled my phone out and the light was on, and I
Oh,
was
man.
like, "This is a moment. It's happening. I'm old."
Your birthday's tomorrow.
What? It is.
Great acting, just like on jury duty.
His birthday isn't tomorrow.
It's actually Saturday.
Don't.
That's
as
fine.
Amin was running out of the room with his flashlight on, he was shouting, "Don't look at me, I'm hideous." Because he was so ashamed of not being able to turn the flashlight on his phone off as he ran out of the room saying, "This is a kinder, gentler Dan Le Batard show where we discuss the age-old topic of what's the hardest thing to do in sports."
I feel like we haven't. Have we tackled that one?
I don't
before?
think we've ever done that.
Look at us.
We have done it's hitting a baseball or being a cornerback, and now he just threw in a bronze medalist. But we've done is it hitting a baseball or being a cornerback in today's NFL about a dozen times.
All right,
Man,
wait.
it's that or another hour of heat talk.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Wait, you just brought something to the table here. In football, what's the most difficult thing? Is it being a cornerback or catching a ball over the middle? Because that's what we
Isn't it
nominated.
obviously being a quarterback?
At corner, I
I
believe.
know,
is
but
the-
being a quarterback would be harder than being a cornerback.
No, because the quarterback knows where everyone's going. The corner is just like, I don't know where I'm going. I'm backpedaling.
You have to read defenses as well.
That's what they say. I'm backpedaling.
The quarterback job as a whole involves a lot of different things, but he was asking as a singular skill. It's why I know we've
Look at
done the
us.
show
Look
a
at us
dozen
having a
times.
conversation.
I don't want to have the conversation. I leave for 2 minutes and you guys are having the conversation.
I've never had the conversation.
TSL, Dan.
Want to go back to Jimmy Butler?
I don't. I was annoyed by Jeremy. In fact, Jeremy, you go sit out there too.
I
was
yes.
You said the most
Yes.
difficult thing to do in sports, and nobody checked him on score a basket against the Miami
We kind of
Heat.
ignored
clutch
it, Dan. Yeah.
No, we all rolled
let
our
that slide.
eyes.
I was like, all right, we'll get
He
out of
also
here.
video
just heard
audience
I've been
knows.
stroking after 1,000 years. Like, come on.
I've been stroking.
People are really tired of the amount of heat talk that's around here. I do not blame them. But Kevin Harlan met the moment last night on
Sure did.
Jimmy freaking Butler.
Jimmy freaking Butler.
Well, he's just shouting that You've arrived at a fun place in commentary where your two, Reggie Miller and Stan Van Gundy, are just laughing at the shot that went in as Kevin Harlan gets to preen all over the top rope of the wrestling ring with Jimmy friggin' Butler, and then he made the Ric Flair woo sound, and the commentary wasn't even analysis. It was just Reggie Miller and Stan laughing and Harlan doing a wrestling call that included ending, because it wasn't just the woo, it was also he went and got the sort of in the loins, oh.
Oh, yeah.
He was great last night.
It was just noises.
So you did want to talk about the Miami Heat one. Got it.
Chris Cote brings up a good subject. The tipped puck in hockey. That is a skill that seems really hard.
I mean, and Jess brings up the point, like, is it luck? It's so difficult that I often think that it is just luck, but I don't think it is, dude. Because it's not just random who goes in front of the net.
Did you just hit her with a dude?
I'm just talking.
We're all family.
No,
here.
I feel like
I'm over here too, so he's looking at me.
I want to see what you just had written down and diagrammed as a sentence.
Oh, well, that's the dangerous game.
The most dangerous.
It was great.
There was a period somewhere in there. The periods are quick sometimes.
I'm sorry I took your time. You were saying?
I don't even remember what we were talking about, man. I went and I had to go like rejuvenate myself because I did the oldest person thing, and I thought no one noticed. But then Tony said, "Old man Amin," and I said maybe he's talking about something else.
No, you scampered out of here, and it looked like you had a light for a tail because like your shame was such that we all noticed that you were horrified and horrifying.
Just a suggestion, Apple. Hey, let's not make this thing the easiest thing to turn on the phone. Like I just touch my phone and the light comes
It's
on.
very accessible.
Too accessible.
Unruly.
It's wild. Like, I don't set a lot of alarms for myself, because it's in the same area.
Yes.
Like the slide down thing, the alarm thing's
Yep.
right there. You'd think I'd be setting alarms all the time, but no, I just turn on the light.
What's right there on the front, even before you unlock it? It's the other side of the camera one. Is the light.
Is that how it gets turned on?
I think so. When you grab it a little too aggressively, all of a sudden, it's he must want light.
Right here.
Do you know that you said out loud, "Don't look at me, I'm hideous"?
Yes,
because everything about your body was saying that. You didn't actually have to say it out loud. I don't know if you know that it came out of your body.
I know that it came out of my body because I realized what was also coming out of my body was this incredibly bright light from my phone.
That you simply couldn't turn it off.
Just as soon as I try to swipe down the wrong part. Ever had this? The wrong part swipes down. All of a sudden, it's
The
giving,
notification one, and you're like, I don't want this.
I don't want this. I just want to turn off the light.
You are really, all you're doing there, though, is trying to quickly avoid the withering judgment of others, correct?
Absolutely. And I did not avoid it. In fact, I got caught full frontal.
You're not used to being that vulnerable, are you?
No.
Full frontal. Yes, full frontal, and Amin, that is absolutely the correct response.
No.
I, too, did want to get to Amin's Lakers Nuggets thoughts. I did also want to laugh for a moment at Stephen A. Smith and at Tony because
What?
Yeah, well, you're a pioneer, Tony, evidently, because
What else is new, Dan?
you will recognize here in Stephen A.'s move that he is grifting off you and he is stealing from you. In that, they called him out the other day on saying there was no way in hell the Lakers would beat the Warriors. And when they called him out on it, his response was, I don't recall saying that.
Nice.
Pro move. Or you can blame AI now. That's the move that I've kind of pivoted off of just me not saying it. It was AI said it. They put a deep fake into it. They put a deep fake. They said a bunch of things that I didn't say. Obviously, I'm wearing my Heat hat. I'm very excited about our team.
What are we doing journalistically when Stephen A. Smith is cheering and rooting on the Knicks, and then when asked about his opinion, because Stephen A. brings up his journalistic bona fides quite a bit, he's different than everyone else, and I don't recall doing that when everyone saw you on television make a prediction.
It's embarrassing how much he cheers.
Didn't he say he threw up watching a Knicks game?
Vomited.
You know what's funny? It's a bit much. I don't think it's authentic. And the reason why I say this, I remember years ago, like when they drafted Porzingis, like he went on this rant. He was actually on vacation, I want to say. He came off.
He's always coming back from vacation for something.
He came back from vacation to get on just to trash the Knicks for that pick, right? That was authentic, I felt like. Now it's like every day, like, Stephen A., what do you think about the Knicks? It's like, oh, these Knicks, why are they doing this to me? But then when they win, it's like, I told you, the orange and blue. Like, it feels performative.
Well, it doesn't feel performative. It is performative. He's a wrestling heel. But what's been fun to watch, and this has been great, is Emmanuel Acho trying to figure out how to learn from the knee of the performative Stephen A. Smith. But Stephen A. Smith, he does it in a way that I think feels more authentic to people. Acho is trying to impersonate it.
I don't know if Acho's doing an impersonation of Stephen A. Smith.
No, he's doing an impersonation of Acho.
Yes, he's absolutely doing
What
that.
does Stephen A. throwing up like sound like?
Oh, well.
Oh God.
I thought I would end my night with a delightful pint of salted caramel ice cream. But then
then he gets up and trade Julius Randle. And also, you tell me what is fair play about him also saying of the Clippers, you need to force Kawhi to retire. Like, I'm not even sure what that is as commentary. You need to force Kawhi Leonard to retire.
Look, all I'm saying, I know Ty Lue very well. He's a very good friend of mine. And I told him the other day, I said, Ty, Kawhi.
Again with the microphone breaking.
I'll do this.
It's flaccid.
That was somebody else's fault.
Yes. Joe
What about if
Mazzulla.
Doc Rivers threw up? This is just fun to make Amin do this.
Well, I thought he was going to do Acho, but he wanted to do Stephen A. Smith.
I'd rather do.
throwing up.
Yeah, he's going to do Obama.
I want to do Acho because it's a new one. Like I don't. It's not a new one. I've workshopped it several times. And here's the thing. Like I know Acho a little bit. I think he's a good guy. But I think the pandemic, what happened to him during the pandemic is kind of like what happened to John Morant over the last couple of years, right? It's like you do something and you get incredibly, insanely popular in a way that he wasn't before. And popular among people who weren't necessarily sports fans, right? Because he had his Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man series. And
he sat down with Oprah.
And sat down-
Oprah knighted him
Yep.
as a sports commentator by simply opening a window to her world.
Yep, and that stuff is big, and that stuff will change you. And for him, it changed him, and I think it made him want to be someone who is an inspiration. And unfortunately for us, Acho's version of inspiring people is talking like this, always delivering as if there is a kernel of truth that has incredible depth to it, Dan Le Batard. But oftentimes, the deepest kernels are the ones on the surface level, and we just don't look at them.
It's a good Acho.
He also outweighs him by 150 pounds. So
Well,
like,
but
it's
see,
not
you're being delicate.
Physically, I can't.
And you limped in with, and I like him as a person.
Yeah, I do.
But he's faking it on television.
I think Dan Le
Aren't we
Batard-
all?
Aren't we all, Dan?
I'm not faking it.
Neither
I don't
am
know
I.
what you're
Keep
talking
it
about.
gangster every day.
What are you doing?
Roy is not faking it. He is what his tweets say he is. His hockey tweets, not his yo mama tweets.
Not those tweets.
No. The ones that are because Roy wants to be Roy's always threatening everyone around here. I'll kick your ass, keep my name out of your mouth.
I'll kick your ass. Whoa, that's a little bit extreme there.
Or kiss my ass, excuse me.
Thank you.
It'd be a Make-A-Wish kid coming on Roy page saying, "Hey Roy, I love you in the show. Can I just shake your hand once?" Your mama can shake my damn hand.
That is not true. That Make-A-Wish kid talked to me.
You actually did
Yeah,
that?
did
No.
you guys,
I thought he was joking.
did you guys see that last night? That happened. Same thing. Same type of thing happened on TNT. Someone tweeted, "Wow, is it just me or are Chuck and Shaq both looking a lot slimmer?" Right, which is a nice compliment, right? And Shaq said, "Yeah, your mama been making these salads for us." I'm like, well, that was unnecessary. They were trying
Clever
to give you
Shaq.
Come on,
a
big fella.
compliment. Yeah, come on, big fella.
Barkley's lost like 60 pounds.
Has he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks good.
Roy, you're my
Yes, sir.
favorite member of the show. Every time you speak, it's like a great informative thing going on. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Your mama informative on my.
Whoa.
Schuster.
I disagree.
You don't want to tempt me to start talking about the Heat again. None of you do.
Please, no.
So let's talk about Brett Favre.
Why didn't we just say yes about the Heat? Damn it.
Could have talked about the Heat.
I
Yeah.
thought Jimmy did a great job last night, guys. I mean, playoff Jimmy's back. Am I right? I don't know. What else are you supposed to say about the Heat?
White hot.
Culture.
Let me tell you something.
Why didn't he call a timeout in the third quarter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 'cause
Mike Scher was on.
Oh, man.
Last night he was inconsolable.
Let me tell you something.
he didn't watch.
He was hiding from the game. Yeah. He's a coward, and I haven't seen him today and haven't heard from him today, and suddenly unavailable today.
I reached out, nothing back.
Yeah, of course. Hiding in the shadows, terrified, screaming from behind the mountains, terrified. I told you I was right to be afraid of them. Please stop making fun of me. I'm afraid of my sports. I can't watch the games. All I want to ask him, I want to call him and simply ask him, can you tell me what your face looked like when you opened the app? When you got whatever the information was and you're like, oh, no, 120, they scored 120. Oh, my God, what happened?
I wish he was watching it live, and I was watching him watch it live so I could see the look on his face when Jimmy Butler hit that three. The one that trickled around and dropped. Oh my God.
Shooter's touch on that one.
Oh, my God.
I think he was watching Scandival.
He for sure watched the game last night. What do we believe in here?
Not to throw everything in a loop, but I want to workshop a new segment here. Amin reads Acho tweets.
No. Transition.
I mean, if you want to keep working this impersonation, I think
it was pretty good.
Everybody would welcome it over Heat Talk, I assure you.
Don't turn a blind eye to Ja Morant's behavior now, then cry out, we should have done something if tragedy strikes. Punish Ja now in order to modify his future behavior. The craziest truth in the NBA is that you get punished more for going and losing than not going at all. LeBron will be shamed for this fabulous season if he doesn't win it all. It's asinine.
Do you believe that what's happening here is he thinks he is imparting a wisdom no one else has?
Let's not make Ja Morant's situation a race issue. It's not. It's a stupidity issue.
He lost $39 million the first time it happened because of all NBA voting.
Dear Joel Embiid, the person who said this is an NBA champion. The person who said this brought his franchise their first championship in 50 years. The person who said this had 38-20 in his elimination game. Don't borrow Giannis's quote unless you borrow his heart as well. Now that's a tweet, ladies and gentlemen. Let's break that down for a second. First and foremost, he could have just said it. No. He starts it, Dear Joel Embiid. He's writing a letter, a missive, if you will, like Civil War soldiers, right? In a Ken Burns documentary. My dearest Clara, right? He starts every sentence with the person who said this, right? Because Joel Embiid said, like someone said, it's not a failure, it's a step to success. So he points out the person who said this, then brings up a whole bunch of stuff that's basically because Giannis won a championship. He's allowed to say this. In Dan's words, if Durant had a longer toenail, yep, then Giannis wouldn't be able to say these words. Which, by the way, when he said them, Acho called it fascinating and inspiring. Right? So then he goes on to end it with, don't borrow Giannis's quote unless you borrow his heart as well. What does that mean? What does that mean? How can you borrow someone's heart?
Doesn't mean anything.
In that episode of One Tree Hill, they had the heart in the cooler, and then the dog was in the waiting room. He tripped, and then the heart fell out of the cooler, and then the dog ate it.
That was written by Mike Schur.
It wasn't written by Mike
Schur. He texted me and was like, what's wrong with you? I didn't produce that show. And I was like, I read the internet wrong, but I'm going to pretend you did.
Mike Schur Mike Schur was quoted in an oral history written about One Tree Hill, and he brought up that scene, and somehow it just turned it into he wrote and produced for that show.
He wishes.
Wildly unfair by Jess, irresponsible, but not as journalistically irresponsible as Ryan Parakeet Cortez, who is in the middle of the night calling Boston radio stations, The Hub, trying to get on with Pitbull music.
Hey, what's up, fellas? I had to call in tonight specifically because I heard Joe Mazzulla talking about winning 3 out of 4 quarters. My name is Joe, and I just feel ashamed to share a name with him after tonight. That guy is a bum. And, I heard you guys talking about that other bum, Jimmy Butler, saying he's not a top 20 player. The thing about Jimmy Butler is...
I'm a fireball.
Let's go, Heat! Coward. Show some respect to Jimmy Butler next time.
It's one of the most amateur things I've ever heard.
Is it real?
Him pretending his name is Joe is an underrated, funny part of that.
A terrible actor.
Why did he say Ryan? Why would he just say Ryan?
Because he did it last time as Ryan, and they know they have the picture out.
Don't let this guy on.
He can never act
So
on
he
jury
snuck in with
duty.
Joe.
He will never succeed as an actor.
Just to keep Dan off of Brett Favre.
John Morant has the world in the palm of his hands, but would rather hold a gun.
That's good. Really good, man. How'd you stumble into this? Did you know you did a good Acho before today?
No, yes, I've been workshopping this one for a while.
And what is it? Is it mostly
impression of me?
It's mostly cadence?
It's cadence along with sometimes fake depth in the words. So it sounds like a parable, maybe from a fortune cookie.
And he's gotten Tua people to love him because nobody is louder pro Tua than he is because it gets great applause, correct? Like, who's going to...
I think more than 2 people love him.
Yeah.
Give it to her.
That would have got me tossed instantly, by the way. Chris is literally doing like
Finger
finger
guns.
guns.
I was
whatever
laughing.
sounder.
I forgot I was like in charge.
Yeah,
I was like, that's a funny joke.
But for those of you who
They had the
aren't
same
watching
thing.
it on youtube.com/LeBatard and Friends, you're missing the part where we're all looking at Chris, waiting for him to hit that button, and instead, he's literally, as Jeremy said, pointing finger guns.
I decide
John
when that
Morant's
button's
finger
hit. Hey, everyone, shut your mouth. I decide when
He's
that button
got the
gets hit.
whole world in his hands, and he prefer to have finger guns.
Prefer
Now that's funny.
to hold a finger gun.
My show.
Your show. You can throw you in the penalty box.
This is very Joe Mazzulla-esque.
You know what, Dan? Go to the penalty box.
Whoa!
Oh, no.
my goodness.
No,
He's
no.
drunk with power.
That was via the video team.
We've been screaming, "Get off my plane!" at Chris Cote
Yeah.
for 2 minutes now.
He can't find it.
My plane.
Thank you.
Finally found it. What?
We gotta have people stop yelling off mic when they're going to the penalty box. It's getting
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah.
You.
Jeez.
What do you guys want to talk about now?
That's a good question.
Dude, I'm still not over Joe Mazzulla saying we won 3 out of 4 quarters. Like it was acting like we're the crazy ones.
No, I am a delusional enough fan where after a football game I'll say that, and I know I sound stupid. I can't imagine saying that as like a head coach. Like, oh, Notre Dame won 3 out of 4 quarters against Marshall. It's like, well, it doesn't really.
Then you had one of the worst quarters in history.
and then you lost.
I got a question for our basketball expert. What version of Anthony Davis do we think will show up tonight in Game 2?
Let's see. He had 36 in Game 1, so that means the other one shows up in Game 2. That's how it's been going all postseason
63.
long. No, not that version.
Honestly, all of this, like Tatum seems to have similar inconsistencies. It just makes me, I know, like, Heat, we're bringing it back here.
Yeah.
But it just makes me appreciate, and I can see Jeremy in the reflection, Jimmy Butler, dude. Like, it's just like this. It makes it, you look at these guys, you would say Anthony Davis, Tatum, better than Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
But he's more consistent in the playoffs, and that has as much value as regular season success.
Scalabrine said something really interesting in that he said, like, that kind of confidence is hard to come by, and it's incredibly
Did you
helpful.
yawn?
No, I burped, and then I withheld the burp. And that Jimmy has it, and it's not fake. He actually believes he's the best player on the planet.
Don't a lot of NBA players, you have said before, a lot, like 50 guys have that mentality, but that doesn't mean they're going to.
They have delusion. They don't all have confidence, but they all have delusion. You have to have a delusion because if you don't have the delusion, you'll realize very quickly, wait, there's only 500 of these spots and there's 8 billion people.
Deion Waiters.
I was going to say, who's
Duncan
the
Robinson.
worst? Who's the worst player in the NBA right now that thinks they're the best?
The most confident bad player.
Like
Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks.
Does he actually think he's?
Dylan Brooks actually thinks he's.
I know he thinks like defensively and toughness.
No.
I can
He
hang.
think, like Dylan Brooks is like, why aren't I shooting enough? Like, why am I only getting these many shots a game? That's a very uncomfortable zoom. Oh no, it wasn't a zoom, and that was him.
I just got.
Again, for the video audience,
Yeah.
for the non-video audience, excuse me, Dan Le Batard decided a good idea would be to creep eerily closer
yes.
and closer to the camera.
This is terrifying.
This is terrifying.
Yeah, I remember when Stugotz said Dan been wearing that same hat for 20 years. Got him. But back to the Lakers. D'Angelo Russell, he shot terribly
So,
Game 1.
did you hear what Bruce Brown said after the game?
No, sir.
He said, we were seeking him out. We were hunting him out. And I was like, wow. Like, I mean, kudos to Bruce Brown, who had a great Game 1, but like, don't know if you want to be saying that out loud in the press conference. I don't know if you're the one who should be saying it, right? I'm a big believer that when you put out them fighting words, particularly early in a series, you got to be someone who can impact the series like single-handed. Like Jokic could say something like that. But like you can't be Bruce Brown saying that. No offense, I like Bruce Brown. He's a good player. He played well. But like it's kind of the same as when you're a kid, you get in a fight. It's like, oh yeah, well my big brother's gonna whoop your ass. Like wait a second, I'm big brother. Like hold on, man, why you're not the one who's putting your ass on the line. I'm the one who got to go in there and fight. You just talking.
I mean, can you put into context what Jokic is doing? Because like I saw a stat that he has 6 triple-doubles in the playoffs. Everybody else combined has 3.
Yeah.
Like, can you put into context what Jokic is, like what we're watching right now?
Unprecedented. The greatest to ever do it. Like in terms of that part.
In terms of numbers?
In terms of triple doubles. Like and not like and it's not empty stats. It's not people like letting him get the rebound because we want him to get his 10 or like, hey, I'm going to stop shooting and start passing because I need to get to 10 assists. He's doing it within the flow of the game. He's not hunting triple doubles. They're just happening by virtue of him impacting every part of the game. And I'm really interested to see how he adjusts to Rui Hachimura, who did, I thought, a pretty good job on him late in the game in Game 1. I think there's a story out there that Darvin Ham wants to start Rui Hachimura for Game 2.
Do you think he'll destroy him or ruin him?
Penalty box. Times 1,000.
We're talking basketball here, Jeremy.
Stroke your ass to the penalty box.
Guy can only talk Miami Heat basketball. Get out of here.
Exactly.
I guess Roy is going to have some more ham on his ice cream tonight, though.
No, you get out of
here. You get it, though. You got to stay. You want to leave.
I was the one with the ham.
You know what?
She's trying to get out of here. She stays.
Not going to work. Stay there.
Did you poop from the ice cream, though?
No.
Okay.
Not yet, at least.
But yeah, Austin Reeves, Lonnie Walker, like those are the important people who I think is in this series. You feel me? Just as important as AD and Bronny.
Lonnie Walker?
I mean, he got to bring something more than he did.
I feel like the only reason we say Lonnie Walker's name is because of Game 6, man, which was an amazing game, a once-in-a-lifetime game. But, like, since then, I haven't been blown away. But people keep bringing his name up now. Like, Lonnie Walker got to do more. And like, no, he doesn't. He did the one thing. He like the one game that you expect from everybody. Like, can I get one good-ass game from you? And he gave it to you in one quarter, which, if you ask Joe Mazzulla, that doesn't count because the Warriors won 3 out of those 4 quarters. But
it's a good-ass game or a good-ass game? Like,
good-ass game.
Because an ass game is bad.
No.
So
no. Not
ass on or ass off?
Not ass on, not ass off.
Would you rather have a good-ass game or a good-ass game?
Kyle Lowry.
$2.
A lot of Heat fans wanted D'Angelo Russell for Kyle Lowry this year. And I feel like, who's been better in the playoffs so far? I'm not saying D'Angelo's been bad, but Kyle's been arguably the 3rd best player for the Heat?
No.
4th?
No.
Caleb Martin's been great, too.
Martin's
That's
been
another
good.
guy. Heat fans wanted P.J. Tucker. They went with Caleb Martin. There's some interesting decisions that the Heat made that have been crushed most of this year are kind of paying off.
Yeah. Same with the Panthers.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Witty's. Are we going to have a parade of gas bags for the Panthers, by the way?
Nowhere to be found, Witty, in this group chat.
I don't remember you guys talking about the Panthers regular season very much at all.
It's more just in group chats. Witty was big Huberdeau guy, and Kachuk has just clearly been
So Witty
amazing.
said they lost the trade. Right. They lost the trade, even though everyone knew, even in the moment, like, this dude is way better of a player than Huberdeau.
I don't know if we knew it in the moment, but
Witty
this
was
season,
Witty was like, I think he's better.
And then all year he was calling Kachuk's stats
that was a question.
empty stats.
Also, he criticized the new coach who came in playing a playoff style. He's like, what good it'll be if you're not in the playoffs?
Oh, him an apology.
He owes a lot of apologies, this guy.
Let's talk about the other things Witty did that were wrong. Remember he
you
said
love
Giannis
Go around
was
the room
a good
and-
number 2?
Yeah.
Just say that's actually.
Remember when he wore 2 watches?
That's actually probably the top of the Witty things we can make fun of. He called Giannis a 2.
Number 1 is still my oven is my alarm clock.
Yeah.
You're
He also tried a Snickers bar for the first time like 3 months ago.
Did he eat it with a knife and fork?
Double bubble also fucks him up for some reason.
Right.
That's the winner.
What does that mean?
He gets lightheaded when he chooses
I was
certain
going with
type of
sports
bubble gum.
takes, but now you guys have reminded me all the other weird things.
Tootsie
that-
Roll.
Swallows every
Tootsie
gum
Roll.
he's ever had.
Wait.
Kill a bunch of people.
He gets lightheaded. By the way, hold on. Let me just say this real quick before I go on Witty. You guys call Witty a serial killer, a murderer, all that stuff. He's not my number one seed in that category who works or worked here.
Ooh.
Worked here.
Give us a top
Well,
five
he worked
list.
here. He doesn't work here anymore. Witty doesn't. But there's an active person.
I like
among
this
us.
game. Let me
Someone
play.
among us?
Someone among us.
Someone
Are
in
they
the
in this
cast,
room?
right?
Someone in the cast. Someone
Okay.
in the cast of characters
On
in
air.
the LeBatard universe.
Like it's not like Bob 3.
Are they in this room right now?
No, they are not physically here.
I was about to say, do they eat ice cream for the dozens?
Wait, what?
It's not anyone who eats gallons of ice cream, no. Although that is concerning.
Here's a pint.
Is it someone who said they hated the Heat, but then they liked the Heat now that they're in the playoffs, and now that they like the Panthers
these
as well?
These are all like very like loud, big. No.
Oh, the hub.
No, not that guy. But although we have played his voice today.
Ryan.
Yes. Like listen to Ryan's voice. Listen, like play that sound and listen to his voice.
Show some respect to Jimmy Butler.
Not that part.
Hey,
Like
what's
the
up,
beginning.
fellas? I had to call in tonight specifically because I heard Joe Mazzulla talking about winning 3 out of 4 quarters. My name is Joe, and I just feel ashamed to share a name with him after tonight. That guy is a bum. And, you know, I heard you guys talking about that other bum, Jimmy Butler, saying he's not a top 20 player. The thing about Jimmy Butler is...
I'm a fireball.
Let's go, Heat!
He has the unhinged calm of a serial killer. Like, hi, my name is Joe, and I think he's a bum also.
He sounds calm, but also panicked.
You just called like the local newspaper and like wanted to talk to somebody to write a
Yes.
column about him.
Yes, and then they
Fake
become
name.
unhinged. Do not ignore me.
Show some respect to Jimmy Butler next time.
The Batman, I see you. I know who you are.
Like Glenn Close on Fatal Attraction.
Yes, like that. Yes, like my man in Batman. What's his
Paul
name?
Dano.
Paul Dano. There you go. Like all of those, that quiet, crazy person. That's Ryan. Y'all don't agree with me on this?
I thought you were gonna say Billy Gill.
No,
That's decent.
Billy wouldn't.
Those
want
are top
blood on
3
him.
easy.
Yeah, it would be too
Witty,
yucky.
Cortez, and Billy.
I think Cortez is one, man.
Show some respect to Jimmy
I
Butler
can
next
imagine.
time.
I can imagine all y'all being serial killers.
What?
Actually,
What?
Y'all all crazy as
The
hell.
more I look at Jeremy, the more I think Jeremy actually.
Brother.
The more I look at Jeremy, the more I see Justin Timberlake.
Thank you. The more I look at Jeremy, the more I see that coat.
It's the jacket. Devious ass jacket.